Oh, hello everyone. I'm sorry you appear to have caught me here in the middle of a light snack of a lovely, delicious, honestly, hazelnut yogurt, which, as everyone knows, is a snack of choice for everyone on Telling Tales and everyone who has ever watched this channel. So now we've got that gag out of the way and alienated everyone who didn't watch last week. Let's set that to one side, and I'll eat that through the evening as a treat for everyone, especially me. Hi, welcome to Telling Tales. We make tabletop role-playing content, and we stream it for you here on Twitch, and it's also available on YouTube. This is Symbaroum, our long-running Wednesday night campaign. And before we get started introducing players and doing recaps and that sort of stuff, let's do the wonderful promo. Let's get that out of the way. Down below is a bunch of links. As I said, Twitch and YouTube. You're watching on one, please check out the other. Links to our social media, our Discord, our Patreon. Yeah, that's it. Links. Check out all the links. They're wonderful. We run 3 different live streamed campaigns per week here on Twitch. Mondays is Shadows of Astra, and they've had a bit of a shifting schedule recently, but they're back in earnest this Monday on Valentine's Day, no less, which obviously is what better time could there be to show Shadows of Estrin and the Monday crew your love. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, Thursdays is Cincinnati Chronicles. That's our World of Darkness anthology series, and do join us for that tomorrow because the Bengals are in the Super Bowl on Sunday, and I am terrified. So come along and show us some love as well on Thursday nights. We also run one shots generally on the first weekend of every month. The most recent one that was scheduled for last weekend had to be pushed back to this weekend coming. So if you were worried that you'd missed the one for February, you have not yet. And tentatively / confirmedly, that's going to take place this Saturday on the 12th of February, and that's Tales from the Loop, which I will be running with a wonderful Telling Tales group of players. So come join us for that this Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, please. Yeah, that's all the promo. I think I've thrown myself off with the yogurt gag. I feel like I've missed something, but I think all I've missed is another spoonful of lovely hazelnut yogurt. So without any further ado, let's start bringing on the crew. And it's actually quite funny, but oddly enough, the first player we're introducing this week to start us with recaps, and it's what an odd coincidence it should be Mike. Mike plays Anton, a Theurg of Prios, and the group's healer and scholar. But more importantly than that, Mike hates hazelnut yogurt and everything it stands for.
I actually don't think
With
I
no
said I hate
rationale or
I don't think I said that I hate it. I think I expressed mistrust of it because I've never had it before, and I don't associate nuts with yogurt. But I am a huge fan of what you've just done with it, and I have got it on a mental checklist to go and get some at the first available opportunity.
That's good. That is good, Mike, because bigger is an ugly word. And it isn't on me to apply that word to you if you carried on with the comments you were making last week about hazelnut yogurt. We'll leave that for the court of the public opinion to determine whether that would apply.
You really said human rights there, didn't you?
The court of human. Yeah, that'll go to the Hague. And whether you do that. Desperately trying to keep up the comedy there while my chair slowly sinks into the ground. But yeah, it's all good. Mike, why don't you start us off with a recap of the session last week? Enough of all this yogurt business. Let's get on with very serious role play. And why don't you let us know how we kicked off last week?
So we went to go and see DeSaber at the Sun Church straight away because we were a bit nervous about having given her name to a mysterious guy who was up to no good. And we spoke with her and sort of said, that we had to give her name up as the person who had called off the attack, or had set us to go after the people who had called off the attack on Father Sarvola. And she was okay with that, but she was kind of a little bit concerned, perhaps, although not too outwardly to us, that it was Cargo Salamos who was behind all of this. And also she seemed a little bit concerned that Father Elfino was known by Salamos to be the other person who could have ordered us to be going after Salamos, and was even more perturbed that she thought we told her that we thought it had, what am I trying to say, that if we'd have forgiven his name instead of hers, we wouldn't have got the outcome that we got. And that is the clearest recap anyone has ever given on Telling Tales.
I'm sorry, I've still got some delicious hazelnut yogurt in my mouth, but thank you for that, Mike. Thank you for that. And this will stop after a while. Sorry, folks. I just needed to hammer it home while Mike was on screen, because our friendship is almost entirely based on just abusing each other emotionally. So
it's very one way, actually, guys. It's a bit off sometimes.
Just because my hit rate's higher, Mike, doesn't mean that it's one way. So let's bring on our second player. Let's bring on Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar novice, turned sellsword, and I think it's safe to say the member of the group easiest with the most horrifically violent solutions available. Stephen?
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I think because she's so young compared to some of the others, perhaps she hasn't had time for the trauma of her own actions to sink in yet.
Yeah, the consequences don't hit home for her as much as the others.
Yeah, I think if she survives that long, she's going to turn into Steo eventually.
Yeah.
So we went by appointment very early in the morning to meet the Queen's Legate. We'd been trying to get an appointment for quite some time, and it was only really by our sort of, I don't know, understanding with Captain Marvello, for want of a better word, that he pulled some strings and got us in. The Queen's Legate turned out to be a woman called Saria, who was, I think, the most bad-tempered person, certainly that I've met in Thistlehold.
And that's some stiff competition.
Yeah, I mean, really 10 out of 10 irritability. So, she implied that, well, she outright said, she represented the Queen, and that on behalf of the Queen, they'd be willing to show us the door that goes with the key that we have, so that we could essentially burgle the place and find out more about Anadea. So long as we were prepared to, do a favor in return. She introduced us to Captain Decamado, who is the Night Watch captain of the Thistlehold Town Guard, who had a sort of cloak and dagger job for us. We had to go to the Winged Ladle Inn. There was a crate with a item inside in room 3. We were to obtain that crate and deliver it to Decamado. And minor thing, the crate was in a room that also contained the 3 Templar brothers that we'd met at around the time that we were dealing with the sinkhole.
All the way back then in episode 2, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us were very inclined to mess with Templars, but we had to sort of find a way to rob them anyway.
Absolutely. And formulating that plan, let's talk about that, and let's talk about it with Sam. Sam plays Askarai, our resident changeling scout and ranger and bowman. Sam, various aspects of this went really well. Why don't you talk us about the kind of preparation leading up to the start of the heist, I suppose?
Okay, so first we went to find this winged ladle, and we were slightly unhappy to discover it was sort of a very large treehouse type building, just an inn up a tree with a single staircase up and down. We managed to fail all our rolls to figure out how they might receive goods or remove goods from the premises. And so we were a little bit stumped, started coming up with some slightly out there ideas, including being traveling like ale merchants and, you know, a few other things to try and get in there. I think at some point while we were discussing all this, and I think we also thought about like lowering things down and, you know, all kinds of things. At some point we saw two of the brothers leaving the inn, and decided that was sort of the time to do something at the very least. Should probably represent some kind of opportunity for us. So I think at that point, I think most of us, but I don't think Ascari followed them. Right, now I remember. Ascari followed them, and the rest of the party went up into the winged ladle to just, you know, have a look and have a look around, scout it out a bit. Ascari's following of the brothers was extremely conspicuous. Could not really have been any more conspicuous. Was noticed and waved to the brothers as they were leaving by the eastern gate, one of the gates, and then returned sheepishly to the rest of the people in the inn, who were slowly making some other preparations.
Yeah. And folks, we don't want to give you the impression that when Sam says some kind of, you know, outlandish plans were put forward and then kind of mooted. We don't want you to give you the impression that what we eventually settled on was any more logical or no. It was fine. And to talk about that plan, let's bring on Chris. Chris plays Steo, our resident former infantryman turned sellsword. An elderly poker of people with long sticks. Yeah, Chris.
So Steele was delighted to get a posh breakfast, and so we, less Ascari, decided to go and scope the place out directly. So up the stairs into this treehouse we went and sat down for a bit of breakfast. Steo kind of played the fool and went up to the barman and kind of put himself, which in fairness was only a half deception, put himself forward as a local who's never been to this place before, and now he came into some money after some adventuring and would like to spend a night, and got the kind of sob story from the hotelier, and then asked to be booked a room for the night, asked to be shown the room, got taken round to another building where he took a look at his room, got some information about the general layout, quite cunningly, even if I do say so myself. Got a little bit more information about the layout of what rooms are where and how the numbering system works, which gave us a better idea of where the room we were after was, and it was in the main building with the inn. And got a good look at his own room, which turned out to be quite handy later on. And then went back to the table to speak with the others and get up. Oh, one last thing. He did a circuit of the building, and before returning to the inn, and managed to get a little peek inside the room where the three brothers were staying, where he saw one of them in bed, not in a good state, and the room otherwise empty. By not in a good state, I mean quite badly injured, recovering. So he returned back, and basically the decision was made for all of us, bar Anton. Okay, so the way it went down, and I know this will go on, but basically Steele was going to stay outside to collect the crate. Anton was going to stay in the room to to basically stop Askarai's runner, because Askarai had been asked to send a runner back to alert the three brothers, or the two brothers, that alert the remaining brother that the two. Oh my god, this is getting more and more ridiculous by the second. Alert the remaining one brother that the two brothers had left the city and that there had been an accident and he had to go to meet them. But now that was not so much a ploy as it was a massive liability, because that would have led him, because the two brothers wouldn't have sent for him because he was bedbound. So Anton was basically going to trip up the runner. I was going to stay outside and wait for the crate, and I was going to pass the actual heavy work over to Alindra and Aaron.
Yep, it's as simple as that. So
simple as that.
Let's bring on our final player, John, who plays Arendar, last scion of Haustar, a idealistic young warrior who wants to kind of rebuild his noble house among the eyes of his elite Ambrian peers, and also kind of acts as the conscience of the group, which is pretty worrying when your group includes a priest. So, yeah, why don't you tell us how that heist is going, John?
It's going exactly as expected, by everyone apart from the people actually carrying it out. So Aaron and Alindra went through into the back areas trying to be sneaky, and Aaron was, someone gave a nod of greeting as they passed. So if anyone asks around, people definitely know Aaron's been there. We got to the door. Alindra was about to bash it open when Aaron decided to knock. We managed to convince the Templar to get out of his sickbed and come to the door and open it, at which point we shoved the door open, tackled him to the floor, probably greatly exacerbated whatever injury he had, looked around the room and found an empty crate with nothing in it and some clothes, and that's it.
And a religious book called The Lightbringer. But yeah.
So we have
crucially an empty crate,
an injured hostage, an empty crate, and
hostage is such an ugly word.
3/5, over 3/5 of the brain cells of the party off doing something else.
Sure. So with that in mind, folks, let's pick up where we left off. Exactly where we left off. Although what I am going to do as well is I don't often make rolls in Symbaroum because it's meant to be a GM-less kind of roller system for GMs. But I think I need to roll for a certain little goblin's speediness on whether this messenger has reached the winged ladle yet. So let's have a look. I think a nippy little goblin. I'm giving him a fairly decent quick stat. Let's find out, though. Anton, the door to the winged ladle. You haven't heard any of this. There's enough noise in this common room that you haven't heard the clumsy brawl going on in kind of the room number 3. But you've definitely noticed that there is a small goblin. A young goblin has entered the front of the winged ladle and is kind of looks around a bit and then is walking over to the innkeeper in a kind of slightly high piping voice, declaring that he has a message for room 3.
Okay, I will first cast Blessed Shield in case I need to take down a 7-year-old child. I'm obviously kidding there. No, I will just quickly intervene and get the kid's attention and fairly forcefully grab this goblin by the arm and pull them to one side and just say, who was it who sent you? Was it a guy wearing a mask?
As you do, the innkeeper looks a little bit confused because the goblin kind of got his attention a little bit already, but he's kind of basically watching and waiting to see like the immediate results of this. The first thing I'd like you to do, Anton, is roll strong at +5.
I'm not going to do this. There's no way I'm going to do
his
this.
arm. You said you were grabbing his arm. Maybe the goblin doesn't want his arm grabbed. Maybe the goblin, which is why you have a +5. Maybe the goblin doesn't want his arm grabbed.
That's a 20.
I told you all at the beginning of the session.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh god. Well, I love having you in this group, Mike, because your roles really do stretch my GM skills. So, okay. I think this goblin, Mike, is we had a similar thing, right? When we've had similar things before. You're trying to just, and I understand that you're just trying to kind of like grab the goblin to just, you're not restraining the kid, you're just trying to stop him go. But this is a kid, he's grown up on the streets, and let's be honest, a priest grabbing him might be the last thing he wants to happen. This this goblin is really at a perfect striking height for a bit of street fighting, Mike. And this goblin runner is going to punch Anton surprisingly hard directly in a place that Anton would not want to be punched. So, and I don't think you get an armor roll for this, but why don't you go ahead and give me a well, it's an unarmed hit, and it's only a kid. You know what? Go ahead and take 1 toughness, please, Anton. And I think, the goblin has just struck you in the unmentionables and is kind of like backing off a little bit and kind of warily looking at you, and then looking over at the innkeeper, who maybe isn't happy that one of his customers has just been punched in the testicles by a small goblin messenger boy. What are you trying to do out of this, Anton?
Well, I think I would be trying to speak, but having experienced this in out of character as well, being hit in that area, not by a child. Although I do have young nephews.
There's a lot of flailing. A lot of flailing happens.
I think it's if you're caught in that area, sometimes you can find it hard to speak, and you can sort of be bent over double, if not on all fours, and feeling quite sick. So I'd be trying to speak to, trying to get the goblin's attention, and just maybe trying to say, "I'll pay you," but in a slightly quiet way to not get too much attention drawn on me. Although by this point, I suspect there is quite a lot of attention drawn on me.
Yeah, and again, let's just think, maybe this is bringing real world optics into it, of a child hitting a priest in the balls and then the priest protesting, "But I was going to pay you." Maybe not the most. But let's not sink into those details.
You've made this so much worse. You've repeatedly brought up a sexual connotation to this that just didn't exist and wasn't there.
No, and to be fair, we don't know if in the world of Symbaroum, the followers of the Sun Temple has the same reputation for pederasty as major religious institutions do in this one. I'll stop talking about that now.
We're getting very close to topics that will get us actually.
This is going to get us banned off Twitch. No, only if you say specific words. So it's fine. Yeah, well, you know what? Give me a persuasive roll, and I'm gonna go the whole 9 yards on this one and say it's got I don't know, a -6 on it, because you're not very articulate right now, and also you got safe to say you got off on the wrong foot, or rather the wrong curled tiny fist.
I actually get that on the money because I have 10 and I've rolled a 4.
Okay. The innkeeper is now kind of shouting at the little goblin, and he's looking kind of like confusedly, but clearly wants to make the money he's been offered, and turns and looks at you and says, "Are you friends with the changeling?"
Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you. What did he pay you? In fact, don't worry about it. I'll just reach into my purse and give him, like, I guess, like a couple of shillings or something like that.
He kind of takes the shillings quite happily, and kind of looks up at the innkeeper, who looks very confused by this entire exchange now, because it basically appears like you paid a goblin to punch you in the junk. And the goblin just kind of looks down at the couple of shillings in his hand and looks up and says, You and your friends are very odd, mister," and just kind of dashes out of the front of the wing ladle.
I will just return to my seat and collapse. And
Good job. Job well done.
Well, hey, in a way, it was. It wasn't well done. The job was done
perfectly.
The job was done, but not very well.
I don't know. I think our audience would beg to differ that this was the best way in which they wanted to see it done. So, with that in mind, let's Ascarai, actually. Let's say, are you kind of heading back to the Winged Ladle now?
I think I would, but I wouldn't want to be seen again by the goblin. So I might go, a bit of a different route. Maybe take a slightly longer than I think.
Sure. Well, why don't you make a quick roll, and we'll see if you get there in time to see the goblin leaving.
Okay, I will do it. Quick 10. So rolled a 5. So I made it.
Okay, yeah, you get there in time, and you see like the little goblin lad kind of like running quite fast down that big spiral wooden stair cut into the tree, but kind of it's still long, and he's a small goblin, so it takes some time to get down there. I'm assuming you're not kind of like accosting him or anything, or
no, definitely not. I would try to find somewhere to wait, because now I would be hoping to see the other Templar following the goblin at some point shortly. So I try to find a good watching spot.
A fair expectation. In that case, let's cut back up to room number 3. So, Elindra, Aaron, what the hell are you doing?
Gesticulating wildly at each other in increasing levels of frustration.
I like we're gonna have to interrogate this guy, aren't we? Right, where's the item?
Is this addressed to
I say to the bed sheet
sheets.
Covered wounded man on the floor.
He lets out a kind of he says something. It's pretty muffled by the sheets. He doesn't appear to be trying to be shouting or anything. And if you had to lay a bet on what he says through the muffling effect of the sheets, it would be something along the lines of "Prius, damn you!"
I think Prius already has, my friend. Where's the item? I assume Aaron's still kind of sat on him at this point.
Yeah.
Aaron, why don't you give me a... Let's say it's a flat, strong roll at this point.
Ooh, okay. That's needed a 10 and I got 15.
Okay. he gives kind of a great heave of his body. He's a big guy, a big muscular guy, and Aaron goes kind of not flying, but kind of like toppling off. He's kind of, I mean, he can't really get to his feet very well. He's kind of pawing at the sheets to at least get them off and trying to lift himself, but is giving kind of grunting, pained noises. You can see that kind of the poultice and bandages that are wrapped around his midsection, like something has happened. There's like blood slowly soaking through the bandages now. He doesn't look like he's going to be able to provide any great resistance, but he certainly has enough energy left to topple Arendar off his kind of thrashing body.
So how far upright is he? Is he still basically on the floor?
Yeah, pretty much. Like he's just kind of struggling to try and even sit up. But
okay, I am going to just put a boot on his shoulder and kind of press him back down. I'm also going to call through the window for Steo.
Okay. Why don't you give me a flat strong roll then, please? I'm docking his strong by 5 because he also has strong 15.
Yeah, that's a pass.
In his current state. Yeah. He kind of like crashes back down to the ground with a sort of strangled cry. These aren't thick windows. Steo, you've probably heard a bit of a commotion anyway.
I think I thought I had opened the window.
Oh, it may. Already. Yeah. If it's open as well, then that helps. Yeah.
Are you calling him by name?
I think I will just say we need some help here, and I will try to say it at a volume where Steo can hear us outside, but that is not sort of shouting down the whole inn.
Sure.
So I'll appear at the window, gesture at the chest, and kind of beckon for it.
It's empty. Well, I'm standing on the Templar, so I'm sort of going to look to Aaron.
I'm gonna like sort of lean over the Templar and say, "Please, we don't want to hurt you. Just tell us where the item is, please."
I am doing Prios work. I'll tell you dogs nothing. He's kind of, he is like pawing at the sheets, and unless you restrain him in some way, he's definitely going to, uncover his face at least.
Gesturing increasingly wildly at the empty crate. Can I get in and pick it up?
Yeah, you can like hop in through the window and pick it up and try and get it back out.
Back out again. Yeah, I think I'll just do that.
Okay, can you give me a strong roll, please? Because it is a bit of a hefty thing to be maneuvering through that window. You're on mute.
That is a success. I rolled 11. My target number was 12.
Sure. So you can, heave it up on one shoulder, maybe kind of clumsily get yourself over the window.
Cool. I will proceed to try and leave the site.
Okay.
Wow.
I sort of like try and wrestle the sheets back,
keep
the sheets over his.
That's fine. Yeah.
Can we sort of move one of the beds and use the bed to kind of pin him down under the sheets?
Yes. I mean, depends how you mean.
Well, he's injured, but I think left unattended, he can probably get unsheeted and get up quite quickly. And I would like to be not in the room when that happens.
You could definitely do that. I think it would be quicker and easier to just tie the sheets around him.
Okay. I think first I'm going to turn to Aaron and go, we don't have the item. If we can't get him to speak, do we deliver him?
That I think that wouldn't be agreed. Like I don't think that would be what they want.
So are we just gonna go?
Something actually occurs to me. Chris, can you make a cunning roll, please? But carry on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something
Use my phenomenal psychic powers to erase his memory, teleport the party back to the Witch and Familiar with pints at the stone ready for us.
So that's the mind sphere and the correspondence sphere, right?
Sure. So, Chris. Can I incidentally? Can our group make sure to mute themselves when they're not talking? Chris, you kind of stepped into the room and kind of just glanced down, and obviously you couldn't see much of the figure on the floor, and kind of his face was covered. You knew who he was because you've seen him and met him before. But one thing did occur to you. You glanced quite briefly at the dressing around his abdomen, and it struck you as odd, like a kind of poultice or dressing. You're like, I've seen something done like that before, but I can't quite remember when. It's just like quite an odd style, and like not with some herbs you immediately recognized. Though they were kind of nagging at the back of your head as soon as you glanced at them. Maybe like the clumsiness with which you exited the window was like you going, what? I'm sure I've seen that before. As you step out onto the kind of boardwalk of the Winged Ladle, it occurs to you as you're a few steps away. That is a poultice containing a herb called Bacillium. It has a hard time growing north of the Titans, but is still used by some old school healers who were active during the Great War, which is the last time you saw it. And in fact, being as you rolled a crit on that, or the equivalent of a crit in Symbaroum talk, I'm going to say that you only know of one healer, old and experienced enough to make common use of Bacillium still this far above the Titans. It is a old woman called Ballora, whose healing emporium is round the corner from the Winged Ladle. That's it.
That's good info.
This crate's definitely empty, by the way.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. However, I will point out that the job was to collect the crate. Nothing.
No, it was not. It was not. The job was to recover an item in a crate. If you hand over the crate and there's nothing in it, they won't go, no, well, technically, therefore, I won't send a Queen's kill squad after you. Like,
the item was specifically described as being heavy, which the crate clearly isn't.
I'll return to the window then and gesture again and just kind of point away, just out.
Right. I'm going to tie the sheets up. Again, I don't want to suffocate him. I just don't want him getting out anytime soon.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you give me... I think this is a... I'm going to leave it to you. I think it's either a cunning roll or an accurate roll.
Let's go with cunning, because accurate is not my strong point. Yeah, that is a pass.
Okay. You tie the brother up quite well, and he's kind of, at no point has the sheet come off. I mean, he did briefly see you before Aaron knocked him flat, but he's tied up and he's kind of like he's grunting a bit in pain, but like the blood isn't like horribly flowing. It's just obviously reopened the wound to a certain degree, and he's certainly got enough spirit left in him to be kind of like kind of worming his body from side to side and kind of mouthing curses at you of a very religious nature. But you can. Are you leaving via the window? I'm assuming.
Oh yes.
Sort
of latching the door from the inside of whatever the locking mechanism is.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, sounds like Steo and Aaron and Alindra are out there on the boardwalk with just an empty crate sat there next to them.
So once we're out of earshot, I'll be like, okay, let's. Aaron, can you collect Anton and let's reconvene at the bottom of the tree?
Wouldn't it be? Someone saw me go into the back rooms. Wouldn't it be weird if I then just walked through the front door? Should we wait for
don't
Asteroid?
believe we have managed to do a great job of concealing any part of our operation here. So let's quit while we're ahead. I don't know if anyone's going to be paying enough attention.
You're right. There's no reason anyone would have paid any attention to us or Anton. So let's go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anton, presumably you're in there nursing a drink and somewhere else, and Aaron presumably pops his head in the door.
I'll give him a friendly nod and follow him out and make sure that I'm disguising my injury as much as possible.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you give me what's your vigilant, John?
5.
Okay, why don't you give me a discreet roll at +5, please, Mike?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I make it. Yeah, rolled a 6.
That's fine. As far as Aaron is concerned, there's nothing wrong with Anton at all as he starts on the long walk down the circular, like the spiral stairs. So I'm happy for you all to kind of like proceed down and reach the bottom of the tree. Askarai, you can see your companions kind of reaching the bottom, notably not having a large crate on their person.
And I also
am
haven't
bringing
seen
crate,
the tent
by the
by
way.
Oh, you are. Okay, no.
Yeah.
So Steo still has the crate. Sure.
Okay, I'll head over to them.
Just
Okay.
to check, does Steo still have a set of bed sheets stuffed inside his armor?
Yep.
Okay.
Never took it off.
In
Once we're
case it
away
turns out
from-
to be important.
Yeah, no, I am actually going to remove that now and bundle the chest up in it, just to disguise it. And then, that didn't sound like it went well, but there's conspicuously nothing in this crate.
Where's the Templar? I never saw him leave.
Aaron?
He's still there.
How do we get the crate? Did you kill him?
Literally holding
No.
the crate.
So what happened?
Well, he was already he was not in a state to come downstairs, and we took an agile and dynamic approach to the situation.
Should we be running from this area right now?
Yeah.
Let's
Walking
walk
quite
from
quickly.
this area,
Okay.
please. Also, and I'll admit this seems like a tangential thing. I recognize the bindings and the herbs used to patch him up. The healer operates at a clinic very close to here. I think we should maybe go and ask her about her recent clientele.
Do we not? Surely, if he didn't have it, the brothers must have taken it with them.
Yes, almost certainly.
Well,
We could try to follow them.
quite
We
big.
probably should. But I think we should try and learn a little bit more about what caused this man to be so gravely injured, and maybe did this healer get any idea of what this artifact was. Our next job, I'd say, is to write down what's happened, put said piece of paper in this chest, and drop this chest off at the salons before we go a-roving after these two errant knights.
I think if we're going to follow them, we need to do it immediately, or they'll be too far ahead and the tracks will be cold.
Were they carrying anything, Askarai? Like this, whatever this item is, it would be heavy and I assume quite large.
They look to be traveling light to you, Ascarai.
Seemed like they were traveling light. I didn't notice them carrying anything in particular.
So they don't have it.
Do you think they... How bad were his wounds? Could they have... No, they couldn't have stored it inside him.
I think he was wounded during the battle.
Yeah, you seem to be confused over how he was wounded. You literally saw him be stabbed in the stomach by a beast clan.
Okay.
Of the sinkhole.
Look, we need more information, because whatever this artifact is, I assume it's Symbaric, and we all know what happens when people who don't know how Symbaric artifacts work get their hands on these cursed objects. I think we should go speak to the healer, communicate what we've learned so far, and then follow the trail. If it's a little bit harder, we'll just have to work harder ourselves.
We've only got 24 hours to even accomplish this. I would, even if they don't have it, I think...
It's worth noting the healer is literally 60 seconds walk from where you are.
I will point. You could walk a minute and be there. Come on.
Okay, but...
That's not me advising you, just, I'm just wary that you'll stand here planning how to go and where to go for so long that everything is moot, if you see what I mean.
I think we should talk to the healer. I think on the way, if we can find a quiet alley or somewhere quiet, we should get this crate open and see if there is anything at all inside it. If there isn't, I think we should leave it or smash it up for firewood. It's no good to us.
Sounds good.
So can we find a back alley or something?
You absolutely can. The healer's emporium is on Pitch Street, which is a relatively down market little street not far from being an alleyway itself that has a number of various vendors of goods along there. And you can duck into a little side passage and open up the crate with very little problem at all. It isn't sealed. It isn't, anything like that. It is indeed completely empty.
Right. Stash it or break it or
just leave it here. Hide it.
Be rid of it.
A few kicks will destroy it if you want.
I'd really rather not destroy it, I'll caution. Let's just stash it. It is part of the job, even if it isn't the main part of the job.
Put it somewhere it won't be found.
We know where it is. No one else knows where it is.
Sure. So this healer is a few further doors down, an elderly medicus called Ballora. She is in fact sat outside of her small shop with her legs kind of on a kind of rocking chair with her legs up on a barrel. She's smoking a pipe and just kind of idly talking to passers-by or just kind of watching people move along. She doesn't seem to be kind of on a job at the moment, so.
Kind of give Anton a look. Probably best that
stay outside entirely.
Steer, are you joining me?
You have had vague dealings with her in the past, Steo, as a guard. Sure. So she's done some work for the guard,
If you three want to hang around outside, or further outside, I suppose.
Okay, we'll just loiter slightly further up the street.
As I take it, the two of you are kind of approaching Ballora, where she sat. She kind of glances over and she's kind of greeting or saying things to most people as they're walking past. And as you two are walking along, she kind of peers over, somewhat kind of myopically, at the pair of you and says, "Morning, Father."
Morning.
She traces a little kind of like symbol of Prios in the air.
I will return that. Steo, do you want to explain what you saw?
Oh, work needs doing. Which one of you's heard?
Well, it's about some treatment you provided to a gentleman earlier. He's got himself involved in some quite difficult circumstances.
Oh dear. Are you a member of the guard?
Sort of. On and off. I'm helping with Father Anton here. I'm not on duty.
A church matter?
A church matter. It's not a church matter. Don't look at me.
It's more of a... I'm obviously not saying this out loud, but it's definitely more of a city guard matter, seeing as one of the city guard told us to do this, right?
Yeah, but...
On behalf of the Queen, apparently.
Anyway, we're here to find out a little bit more about the work that you have done for that gentleman, because we gather that the treatment used is unusual in these parts. Many people.
No one uses the old herbs and treatments like I do. Alberator was much of a better place for herbs and food, and even the land before it turned was. Oh, these are dark days, Father, dark days that we should have had to leave the land of our birth. This goes on for a while.
Well, and of course there are many new opportunities to spread the light of Prios in these parts as well. And speaking of such, the gentleman in question was a Templar, and yeah, I was wondering if you knew what he was doing in these parts. I've seen him around briefly, but not had a chance to really speak.
I think at this point, shall we have a persuasive roll from Anton? But I think you're doing a good job of getting on this old lady's good side here. And you know what? Here we go, folks. I'm going to institute a new semi-rule, which is, pardon me.
See which hazelnut yogurt was it, mate?
Yeah. Actually, I find that if I go too long without eating another hazelnut yogurt, that I go very. It's definitely not the same illness that caused me to have to cancel Tales from the Loop this last weekend. Instead, it's withdrawal from this lovely hazelnut yogurt supply. So here's my new half rule, folks. If your stat with the modification I give you goes up to 20, then I'll certainly consider in most cases not having to roll for it. You know, you might still want to roll. You might see if you get one. You might see if you want to get a 1. You might get a 20 as well. But yeah. But in either case, I'm going to give you persuasive +8. I think.
That doesn't actually bring me over 20. That would.
Oh well, then definitely
18.
Roll it, Mike, because this is you. So you know,
this is me. 12.
And that's a success, is it?
That is a success, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she kind of nods and says, "Oh well, obviously I know a man of the cloth wouldn't have any ill intentions. Yes, one of 3. I think they had the look of brothers about them." Very well armed and armored. You know, I treated many soldiers and lords in the years past, and they had that bearing about them. They did talk of something important while I was tending to the cut. Something about an icon, a painting, something along it being in danger. They made mention of some Croft beyond the East Gate. Someone they called Alami. Chris, you have contacts Thistlehold, right?
I absolutely do.
Then give me a cunning roll, and let's say it's this is plenty of information to go on. Let's say it's at +2.
Now, I will say that contacts and Thistlehold is persuasive, not cunning. But
yeah, that's trying to get information, though.
This is trying to recognize it. Okay, so you say +2.
Yeah.
So that's 11, 12, 13 minus 1 is 12.
Oh, for elderly, yeah.
2.
There we go. You know of someone. You don't know him well. You feel like maybe you might have either seen him talking to a guard before or something like that. There is a Croft not too far beyond the East Gate, maybe 10 minutes travel or so, that is owned by a retired Templar called Alame Sevio. Alame. Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to pronounce it the same way as Ascarai, because that makes sense. Alame Sevio.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah, that does make sense. Well, thank you for your time and your wisdom. I do have to dash off on some errands now, but I will be back to actually buy some medicinal cures from your wonderful establishments because I'm something of a healer myself.
Oh yes, Father, please do. I still have my sources bringing me supplies across the Titans, much better than what grows near here.
I'm sure. Well, good day and thank you. And I will make the prior symbol and swiftly adjourn.
Sure. I'm imagining the two of you like turning around and walking past where the others are just lurking, kind of trying to be as plain clothes as possible along the way and just being like, go. Yeah, is that roughly what happens? Are we kind of grabbing the others and making our way to the East Gate as fast as possible?
I think so.
Yep.
Do we want to tell anyone what's going on?
Who are we going to tell?
Say again?
Who are we going to tell? Like, we either find and return the item or we don't. Like, we have no allies in this. We just have to do this job.
Yeah.
If it's only...
Anton, you don't have any paper on you, do you?
I have parchment.
Can I just write a quick note? I'm going to build myself a little insurance policy here.
Yeah, I'll delve into my robes and pass Steo some parchment.
So I'm just going to write a note that says Alame's Croft. Sign it, and that'll do. And as we are leaving the East Gate, if we want to go ahead and skip there, I'm going to find some of the guard, maybe someone who recognizes me if I'm lucky.
I think as we're approaching the East Gate, I might want to have a quick conversation about what we're going to do once we get there. Which is to say, this Croft is 10 minutes outside the gate. Are we actually talking about the 5 of us marching down there right now and facing 3 Templars? Or does it make more sense to watch the East Gate, see if the brothers come back, see if they're carrying anything, and if they're not, go out to the Croft? Or will that take too long?
I think the fact that this is now left Thistlehold actually frees us to maybe take a more direct approach here.
Okay, that doesn't make me any more comfortable about killing Templars, Theo.
We don't necessarily need to kill Templars. We're just there to recover an artifact.
We could try a more honest version of what Ascarai tried before.
I'd be incredibly cautious about who has asked us to do it and the status of the person who can ask them to ask us to do it, and be aware that if I only have to kill 4 Templars today, this is business that is beyond us. And might I remind people of the horrors that any number of trinkets from Symbaroum can cause if meddled with by opportunists.
Listen, Theo, goblin cultists is one thing. We're talking about Templars.
If it's any consolation, one of them's retired.
Not really, no. What? He's old. He's had a full life. Let's go and end it.
Also, you saw, did you... I noticed that their tabards were interfered with last session, didn't I? I think these might be the... did you see the tabards? I think these might be the Prios is dead crew.
No, I think they're trying to look incognito. Certainly, the one that we spoke to in the inn was leveling every Prios-based curse at us in the way that I might expect from a Templar, but wouldn't expect from a heretic.
I did ask at the Legate whether they were still part of the church.
Yeah, we were told that they were. I think they're just trying to be incognito.
Whether the Legate considers the other faction to be part of the church is...
I mean, the Knights of the Dying Sun are still part of the church.
Yeah.
There are disagreements being had.
I mean, it's quite a big disagreement if the major deity of your religion, you have a faction that considers that deity to be dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if these people would give up this artifact. It seems important, whatever it is.
I don't think we're going to talk them out of it, and I don't really want to fight them. And if there were only the retired one in the Croft, if we could somehow get the brothers out of the picture, and if the item is in the Croft, maybe we can do something sneaky. Maybe we can overpower him.
More information's better than less, so let's go and scope it out. Anyway, time is also of the essence, so let's go and scope it out now.
Okay.
We're never doing sneaky work after this again.
You are at the. I think it's definitely an effort to be calling this sneaky work. So, you're at the East Gate. I mean, how are you heading to the Croft? Are you paying coin for some horses, or are you just walking there?
We just walk there, do we?
You can just walk there. It's walkable.
So I'm going to, if I can notice a guard who's maybe worked with me before, if I'm lucky, or if you want to roll for that,
sure,
I'm going to hand the note over and say that if I don't ask for this note back, give it to the Night Watch guy,
Captain Decamado.
Give it to Captain Decamado tonight.
Okay. Yeah, it's you worked with her before, and she kind of shrugs and pockets the note. Seems very amenable to it. So, you trudge through. I think we discussed the East Path because this is the path to Blackmoor. Again, it's kind of muddy. You get a lot of people travel along it every day, and it remains a kind of slightly unpleasant, overcast autumn here in Thistlehold. And as you trudge along this route again, let's see. Let's see something a second. In that I did a bit of randomization last time, and I think I will do it again this time. Okay, so as you trudge along, you don't see very many people. It's late enough in the morning that most of the traffic between here and Blackmoor, is done for the rest of the day until people stop working. And you find yourself before very long on the edge of the road where a slightly overgrown path leads off to a kind of a farmhouse and barn just about visible off the road, surrounded by kind of scattered trees, but mostly kind of an open approach. This is Alamai's Croft. You can see that there are kind of some farm animals there and a small amount of crops. And you can see a couple of farm hands kind of like tending them. But no sign from the road of either the Templar brothers or Alamai himself.
Are there any horses like tied up at the front of the...
Trying to think if they'd... You know what? Yeah, let's go with yeah. There are some horses tied up at a bar along near the front of the farmhouse.
Well, we didn't see them on the road back. There's horses out the front. Seems a fair bet they're somewhere on the property.
Can we make a subtle approach from the rear?
You can try, yeah.
What is that?
As I say, it's fairly open, with some scattered trees around, but you could try and circle and sneak onto the property for sure.
Like, what's the plan? We're scoping it out. There's probably 3 of them in there. Do we go in and try and talk them out of whatever this icon is? I don't think it's going to work.
I agree. I think there's also people around outside. If we try and get much closer, we risk being seen. And if we're doing anything too suspicious, which is probably going to be anything beyond riding up to the front of this house.
So we go back to the Witch and Familiar. We buy a cask of beer. We roll the beer.
We are door-to-door ale salesmen, sir.
That is in character. I hope the giggles were in character as well.
We have the rest of the afternoon, the evening, all night to try to retrieve this item, which if it's not in this Croft, we have no way of knowing where it is, right? Can we maybe just wait? Can we maybe just stake the place out and see if anybody comes or goes? Do you really want to go in there with 3 Templars and either try to talk them down or fight them down? Because I don't want to do either of those things. And I don't have another idea other than to wait and see what happens.
Well, I think waiting for them to leave. Then we just meet them on the road and take it from them or see if they have it. If they don't have it, we know that it's still at the house, and we can go and get it with only 1 Templar then.
If we're watching the door from somewhere concealed, we can see whether they leave with the item or without it. We can formulate a plan from there. I don't want to deal with 3 of them. And they will be leaving. They're not going to stay in this Croft overnight. Their brother is injured back at the inn. They're not going to want to make this a long trip.
Yeah, this sounds good. I will say that we're making assumptions that they want to take the object back to the town and not to another location, maybe some cursed grove.
No, I'm just saying that the chances are the 2 brothers are going to be leaving, that it probably won't be all 3 of them together, and that if we watch them leave, we can figure out where the item is and not have to deal with all 3 of them.
Sounds good.
I agree with the plan. My only thought is we may not be able to tell if they have the item or don't just by watching them.
Well, you recall what they were like, how light they were packed on the way out. Now, we've been told how heavy this thing is, so it should be obvious that they are carrying something if they leave with it. My concern is that we've made a lot of assumptions that they're going to be leaving back towards Thistlehold. Let's just make sure we spread our eyes out.
I'm not entirely sure that Alindra's plan matters which way they're heading.
No, just watch the door. They'll come out, see which way they go.
Forgive me if I'm interpreting wrong.
No,
Steve, but I think it's like Alindra's just like, if they're carrying it, we follow them and ambush them.
Yeah,
and
it's a classic.
Not, then we get it from the Croft.
Classic stakeout, right? Like we don't have a car and donuts, but whatever the Ambrian equivalents are.
Horse and
actual steak.
Gruel. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, John, you go ahead.
We could, as I was saying before, try a more truthful version of what Ascarai was attempting. Get a messenger, send them to the Croft, and tell them that something has happened and their brother has been injured. It's true.
It is true.
This time.
I don't know. I kind of like Alindra's idea of just staying put for a while.
A messenger might hurry things along if we can find a goblin. So we need a hiding place, and we need a goblin, and we need some shillings.
It's worth noting not every messenger in Ambry is a goblin, but
I know, just Elindra's being a bigot.
Sure, yeah. It's these wonderful kind of plans that I really, one of the reasons I enjoy having an NPC with the party a lot is so that I can do things like give just my opinion on a plan. So when someone suggests, oh, maybe we should warn them that something's up, that person can go, yeah, that's a good idea. But Aaron said what he said, and we're just going to have to live with that now.
Anyone, I mean, look, the group should know what Aaron's cunning score is by now, so take that as you will.
Yeah. We don't usually say things from chat on air, but Steve's, your brother's quite badly hurt. Someone sat on him and tied him up in a tree. Sadly accurate. So it sounds like the first course of action is to try and find a place to hide and stake this place out, right? Like the messenger thing can presumably be tabled until you've at least found that.
Yeah, this plan doesn't work without a hiding place.
Okay. So what I would like is who's got the highest discreet score? Because I only want one.
I have 13.
Yeah, I think it's Askarai's 13, right? Okay, I would like you to roll discreet, Askarai. I'm going to modify it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So you just tell me what you rolled.
Okay.
I mean, if it's under 13, well, no, because it might be a negative modifier.
So yeah, my discreet is 13. I rolled a 13.
Okay. Then we'll find out, won't we? So yeah, you find like I say, there's like sparse woodland nearby, not like it's not like on the edge of the forest. You can see the edge of the forest from where you are. There's like little clumps of trees and stuff, and you find indeed a little clump of trees nearby that kind of obscures mostly from the farmhouse, but you can get a pretty good look. And you manage to approach it from further up off the road, so that the farmhands who are at work in the field kind of don't notice you going there. And the five of you can lurk in that clump of trees, fairly safely observing the house. While you're doing this, are we instigating Operation Alert the Brothers?
Askarai is going to be focused on watching the house and is not going to try and come up with any more.
I think after
in all
an hour,
like there's an argument. I shouldn't be shitting on John's plans quite so much. So John does not look impressed. So no, are we countenancing the messenger idea?
I think after an hour, Steo will become more and more into countenancing because Steo's pretty patient. No, Steo, I'll give it 2 hours. If nothing happens after 2 hours, Steo will table the motion again.
Okay.
Anton's going to quietly mutter that he's okay with the plan, but he's had enough of messengers today.
But why, Father Anton? What happened? Is anyone else kind of initiating this or bringing it up again? Shall we take Steo's 2 hour limit? Is anyone doing anything before that? Or we just sat around quietly observing?
Yeah, just hunkered down in silence, really.
Okay. Well then, about an hour after you have settled down, the door to the farmhouse opens. 2 individuals come out. Those of you who saw them back at the sinkhole, or indeed recently as Askarai did, recognize them as the other 2 brothers. They are dressed in a very similar fashion to the last time you saw them, and they kind of step out of the house, followed by a kind of still powerful looking man with soft white hair who walks kind of over near their horses, shakes both their hands, and they mount up and start to, not gallop, just kind of gently trot off back towards town. Can everyone please give me a vigilant roll? And you know what, Askarai, you can take a +3 to it because you know what they looked like when they arrived here.
I make it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, everyone who made it, they do not look like they are carrying anything beyond, like, they have pouches at their waist where you'd have coin or, herbs, maybe a small knife. They have large swords that they are carrying kind of, they're probably strapped to their horses though after they mount them. They do not look like they're carrying anything large that could be carried in that crate. And Ascarai, you are like 100% sure they are wearing and carrying exactly what they were when they left. And you were up close to them, and they really didn't seem to be having anything like that. I've had an exciting development in my my mouse issues, folks. In that I couldn't get my mouse to work, and now it's back. And now the speed of it is like a small wounded vole. Slowly crawling. Yeah, my mouse cursor speed has dropped.
Is that faster or slower than two lambs tied together?
I'll tell you what, it's nothing compared to a tape here.
I mean, that depends. Are they like tied together facing?
No. We're not diverting. We're not diverting. I think we can all agree that whatever it is would be faster if it was raised on a healthy diet of hazelnut yogurt. So, yeah, they appear to be clear.
So they didn't bring it with them, and they're not taking it back.
So either it's there or it's somewhere else in Thistlehold. Problem being, if they go back to the inn, the gig's up.
Well, except they won't know where to look for us.
That's true, but we won't. They'll be extra careful, and this is hard enough when they're not being extra careful.
They might just move to secure whatever it is, even without knowing where to look for us.
Do we want to send somebody to follow them now, or do we want to take this opportunity to go and see what's in the Croft?
I think we have to go to the Croft.
I think
only have a small window before they get back.
I think it's not where they're staying. This is the only other place that we know that they're associated with. They may have brought it on some other day. I wasn't expecting them to have brought it here today. The sinkhole opened up days ago. They could have been doing anything in that time.
I would like to very quickly flag up that trotting on those horses, they're going to be back at the Winged Ladle in at the most 7 minutes. Obviously, they'd have to get back here in another 7 minutes. I just want you to know that the window is small.
Yeah, and they'd have to have reason to think that this is where we would have come, which I'm not sure. That's quite a lot to put together. But
yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah.
It's not so much they'll come for us. It's that they know we're looking for the item. If the item is here, they'll come back to make sure it's safe.
Okay, I think we should definitely, I don't know, maybe Anton, would you? Oh, no, there's no point. They're on horseback. We should have got horses.
I think we go into the Croft. I think we go into the Croft.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we approaching the Croft? How are we doing this? I don't need a big plan. Just kind of, are you just walking up to it? Are you trying to sneak in there? What are you doing?
I'm standing behind Steo and desperately hoping that Steo has the bright idea of just kicking in the front door.
Yeah, front door. And Tom, I suppose we can have a chat with them.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
It can't be a long chat. We've got a very limited time frame.
Aren't we supposed to be doing this under secrecy, though? When walking in and telling them?
I recall that the only stipulation is that our benefactors should remain entirely undisclosed.
If you want the exact wording,
should carry it out with discretion.
If you are found out or get caught, the deal is off. And if you say something about the involvement of the legation, you're in deep trouble.
Whatever I used to cover my face in the inn, I will put that back over my face.
Sure.
Okay, so do we make a distraction out of the front and Ascarai sneaks in at the back?
Okay. Steo and Aaron and I stay in this thicket of trees. Anton, front door, distraction. Ascarai, back door, sneaking. Right? We will come out of the trees if a fight breaks out, if someone calls for help, but otherwise we don't need to march in there and kick off. Like, let's rely on your stealthy, distracting burglary skills because they've served us so well today so far.
I'm due some good luck.
God.
Okay, so Aaron, Steo, and Alindra are remaining in this clump of trees, which it has to be said is quite away from the farmhouse. Like,
okay, well, is there anywhere else that we can be nearer but not immediately in sight? Like
an outhouse?
Not really, no, because it's fairly open.
Okay, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay in the trees and be prepared to run towards the farmhouse. I don't know if anybody else agreed to this plan, by the way. I just proposed it.
No, sounds as good as it's going to get, I think.
We could move closer and be at the side of the building, out of
the farmhands will definitely see you approaching the farmhouse.
Then, yeah, never mind then.
Should I go with Anton and just keep him company? It's a lot to put on him.
Sure, if you want to concoct some story about this or whole business, and like the main thing is to keep him on the doorstep talking, right?
Just hired help.
Traveling preacher and their guard?
Just whatever. I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah. Well,
maybe we could use this opportunity to find out a little bit more of their splinter organization and what's going on with them.
If we're using reasonable facsimile of game time, that the brothers are now back in Thistlehold, by the way.
Ascarai is just going to start heading towards the back, because regardless of what anyone else is doing, he's part of this plan. It's clear.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go knock on the front door.
I will be with Anton. Okay,
and Aaron and Alindra are lurking back at the trees. Okay. So, Ascarai, let's start with seeing whether the farmhands notice you moving on your way.
I don't know how many farmhands there are, but I'm gonna start by trying to shapeshift to look farmhandy as a human.
You have seen 2 of them in the last hour, and it's not a big croft. You suspect there are 2 of them, unless there are hordes of them lurking in the barn.
I'll do it anyway, since if they see me as a changeling, that's going to be bad. It might be slightly less bad from a distance.
Go ahead and make your shapeshift roll, please.
Okay, that is against my resolute, which is 11. I got a 13, so I don't make it anyway.
Continuing your shapeshifting look, just give me a flat vigilant roll, please.
Vigilant. Okay.
Sorry, discreet, not vigilant.
Okay, I need a 13. I got a 2.
Okay. A lot of the land around the outside of the boundaries of the croft is very untended, and there's long grass and a lot of weeds and bushes, and you manage to sneak your way through that quite easily without the farmhands catching sight of you, and you've moved around so like you're at the rear of the farmhouse, and in fact you can see kind of Alamai standing in the farmhouse, kind of like he seems to be kind of like poring over something on a table, perhaps, and then you see his like head jerk round as there's a knocking on the farmhouse door. Anton, the door creaks open. And standing inside is Alamai. I think I already described him, but a large, still powerful man, just slightly going to seed, soft white hair, and a very kind of lined face. He's kind of has opened the door to kind of like about halfway, and just kind of peers out and takes kind of you in and takes Steo in and says, "Yes, what?"
Is there anything about his person that indicates that he's an ex-Templar or anything like that?
He's wearing mail.
Oh, okay. Was that instantly sort of identify him as Templar, or just
it wouldn't. To be fair, but he's just a farmer. Why is he wearing mail? You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
sure. Oh, well, pardon me, sir. My companion and I were just passing through, and I'm doing a bit of work for the church, and just trying to understand this rather charming area around here, and understand what habits the people around here have in terms of their adherence to the rituals of Prios and the worship that they conduct to him. And I was just wondering if I may just have a few minutes of your time to discuss that, if that's at all possible. It's really quite a lovely place that you have here, by the way. I've been in Disselhoff for some. Okay, yeah.
Could you roll? Yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Could you roll persuasive, please, at a -3?
Oh, I don't think I do it. I got a 10, and my persuasive is 10.
He kind of glances over at both of you. You know what? Let's have another roll here. Can you give me a cunning roll at +1, please?
I think that's 10 as well. And I rolled 13. No.
He kind of looks between the two of you, and you hear the sound of like something creak, as if something heavy is shifted behind the door, and he just says, "I think you'd better be off my land now."
Oh, well, we didn't mean any harm, sir, at all. This is just a friendly conversation, that is all, just to ascertain some more information. We certainly mean no trouble. Well, I think at this point I'll be looking nervously towards Steo and seeing if his eyes are telling me anything that I need to know.
I think at this stage I'm just going to barge right through the door.
Okay. Can you give me a quick roll, please, Steo, at -1?
Oof, very no, 14.
Okay, then he's going first. So, can we start to get an initiative worked up, John? You don't need to pop it up just yet, but we'll need everyone. Plus, we'll need Alamai. It's ALAMEI. And he is on Vigilance 7 and Quick 11. I should give those the other way around, really, because Vigilance is a tiebreaker, right? So he's Quick 11 and Vigilance 7. And also, can you put the farmhands on there, please? Who are on Quick 13 and Vigilant 10. Is that okay? You got that? Cool. We don't need it up yet because we're gonna go with Alamai and Steo first. We're going to get Alamai. So basically, he flings the door backwards and drags from where it's been resting behind the door a really very large hafted axe. And it's an axe that Elindra you'll certainly be familiar with. Steo, probably Anton as well. It is called a sun axe, and it's wielded only by kind of the mightiest of the Templars. It's kind of an old-fashioned thing to have. You definitely have seen it more in Alberator than here. But essentially, the axe head of it is literally like the symbol of Prios that the Sun Temple used, like a huge, rounded, sharp-edged, multi-pronged thing. It can be rather clumsy, but also you probably don't want to get on the other side of it. And as Alamai hefts it up and roars at the top of his lungs, "Still, my soul glows with the light of the lawgiver." The head of it kind of starts to pulse these sort of waves of sparking, glowing heat that Again, Elindra, you're certainly familiar with, although you were not inducted into the Templars long enough to learn how to utilize the Witch Hammer. But that's what Alamai is doing, and he's stepping forward and taking a great swing at Steo. Steo, I am aware that you get your... you know what? Actually, I'm going to say you don't get a long strike on him because he acted first. So I'm going to say your spear isn't at the ready. I think that's fair. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's more fair because I'm already in very close quarters with him, so using a long strike here would require a toothpick.
So I think that's fair. But also, what we'll do is you'll get a strike in before the initiative round starts as well. So assuming you're still standing. So with that in mind, can you roll defense, please? And I think I did write up his stats in a bit more detail. But of course, the mouse. So let's have a look. I believe he uses strong. He does indeed. Actually, he uses. Oh, that's interesting. He uses persuasive, strong or persuasive, because he has both dominate and Iron Fist. So I'm going to say his roar about the library has took you back, and we're going to use his persuasive there. So can you give me a defense roll at -5, please?
That is a stonking failure.
Okay, then you are going to need, my friend, a armor roll. Oh boy, are you going to need an armor roll.
Oh, please, D10, don't fail me now. 3 is pretty faily.
Okay, what's your pain threshold?
My pain threshold is 7.
Well, according to the new rules, then, you're fine, because you're about to take 7 toughness. He steps forward and kind of the first... You just kind of have a flash of him stepping forward, and he brings around that haft of the sun axe and just clocks you hard kind of across the face as he does that, and then flips the axe forward. You feel something crunch nastily on your shoulder, and a very sharp pain, and kind of just the spreading wet warmth of blood flowing down your chest, down your side, down your arm. Anton, you can see he's got that sun axe just buried in Steo's shoulder. As Steo is kind of sliding back off it with a great sucking, wet, unpleasant noise. Yeah, there we go. But Steo, your pain threshold is not hit, so you can get an attack back on the guy before before we go to the initiative round. So yeah, go for it. I'm going to
go ahead and do that. What's the modifier?
His defense. The modifier is just -1.
Okay. That is a success.
Okay. Give me a damage roll, please.
Once again, D10. 6! Twice as good as last time.
Okay. You as you kind of almost kind of slide back off the blade of the axe, you quickly, I imagine, would it be fair to say you had your spear kind of stood next to you, but not at the ready?
Not at the ready.
As you kind of move backwards, you naturally kind of lean forwards, and with a desperate sort of jab as you stagger backwards, you do manage, you feel impact, and also that kind of slight resistance and then pushing that comes with a light wound, and you see kind of his eyes flash, and you hear him just grunt softly under his breath. He's wearing that chainmail, but he's got no helmet on, and you can see that there's kind of blood just starting to pulse from a wound you've left. Ironically, basically in the same place that he's almost carved you in half.
Right.
So there we go. Now, let's have initiative up, please.
God.
Askarai. Non-combat actions, I guess. So let's you're around the back of the farmhouse, and at this point you've heard a bang and kind of someone shouting. That's probably all you've pretty much heard.
I used to be able to see him through the window. I guess I can no longer see where he is now.
I don't think you can through the window from where you were, and definitely not so much if you've moved closer to the farmhouse since then. Definitely not so much.
Okay, well, I think I'll move towards the farmhouse as fast as I can, basically.
I'm happy with you basically being there, because time did pass while Anton was gabbing,
Okay, in that case, I'll open the back door of the farmhouse? Wait,
Yeah, sure.
Are the windows of the farmhouse open? Like, are they?
Let's say one of them
glass?
is. Yeah. Let's say one of them is for the fresh air.
Okay, in that case, I'll move to the window and take a look through it.
Sure. There is a, there's like, yeah, it's a very average interior. There's a table and some chairs. There's like an oven / fireplace, which is at this kind of actually at the center of the room and leading up to a chimney overhead. There's a number of other there's a bed and bits and pieces of furniture and kind of what looks to be like a farmer's log and stuff like that. And there is, notably, you can see that the front door is open and you can see Alamai and Steo kind of swinging each other in front of the Croft. And you can also see, well, why don't you give me a vigilant roll for some extra details? How about that?
Okay. I made it. I rolled a 15, which is what I needed, unless there's a modifier.
Nope, no modifier. So on the table, you can see what appears to be some kind of large copper or bronze set of plaques.
Okay. Would this be roughly where I would have seen him looking at something from outside? Okay.
Yes.
If I can, then, seeing him fighting Steo, I'd like to take a shot at him through the window if it's open.
I would like you first. I think you'd need to climb through the window to do, because it's like a higher window than where you are. So what I want you to do, I'd say normally it'll take 2 actions to kind of clamber through that window safely. If you can give me a quick roll to get through that window, and then you can take a shot at him this turn. How about that? Otherwise, it's going to take you both turns to climb through.
Yeah, that sounds fair. My quick is 10. And I roll a 13, so I don't make it.
Okay, but you have now clambered through the window and you're stood in the farmhouse, kind of like unslinging that bow from your shoulder.
Cool.
Elindra, I'm going to say that you are 1 full turn of movement from the farmhands and another full turn of movement from Alamai and Steo and Anton.
Okay, so patch of trees, some farmhands, and then the farmhouse. Okay, well, I will barrel out of the trees, heading full pelt towards the Croft. I mean, do the farmhands look like they're tooling up for a fight? Like, what are they?
They're definitely. I mean, they haven't gone yet, but they're definitely kind of looking over in alarm towards the Croft. And let's say at least one of them has kind of like dropped a scythe, basically, and look, like they're dumping it to go get something else. Let's
go. Don't need this weapon. Let's go get a different weapon. I'm heading towards the farmhouse, but I'm not that interested in engaging the farmhands.
Okay, so you are just pelting as fast towards the Croft as you can.
Yeah.
Well, the farmhands, for their part, are dropping their farming tools and dashing over to a nearby fence where they are picking up bows and kind of making their bows ready to start firing, essentially. Arindar.
I should probably go do something about the imminent ranged threat, but attacking farmhands feels a bit... Is it still the middle of the day?
Yeah.
At this point,
probably noonish or very early afternoon.
I'm trying to think if I can start some kind of distraction, which I just don't want to engage random farmhands.
I mean, you don't have to. The option is not, do you want to kill the farmhands or come up with a crazy caper?
Sure.
But Aaron loves crazy capers.
I'm gonna also run towards the farmhouse with more an aim of allowing everyone to disentangle from the combat and and retreat than optimizing damage to.
I don't really know what you mean.
I'm just going to follow Alindra, basically.
Okay. So Alamai is just going to swing at Steo again.
It's been fun, everyone.
So why don't you give me another defense roll, please? At
-5 last time. Any change?
Is at -5. He is striding forward, roaring about all the fury of Prios coming down upon your head. And it's really rather an intimidating thing, along with obviously the feeling of the blood flowing, but not as much blood as you would imagine. And you can kind of almost smell an odd cooked scent coming from your shoulder as part of it has been cauterized by the heat of the sun axe.
This might be Steele's last dice roll. Here we go. 5 or lower. 16.
16. Give me another one of those armor rolls, please.
Oh, hang on. Oh. My experience is telling me that perhaps if I'm going to be choosing 1 and 5s with a guy who can kill me at this stage, I should probably be burning an XP. Did we say, this is within re-rolling defenses within the bounds of
oh, yeah, it is, yeah. Hang on, what was I going to say about, what about your polearm mastery? How does that thing work?
So it's only if I get a reaction. So I would have had to have come into,
okay.
I would have had to have either triggered long or somehow got a free action.
Gotcha.
Enter into that situation. I will burn an XP and try again. 5 or less. 5.
Woo. There we go. Worth the XP. Very worth the XP, I think. So Alamai's sun axe comes like within a hair's breadth of your face as he kind of swings round from a wrath guard forward, and you just step back desperately. You haven't felt this out of control of kind of fighting someone one-on-one since the war, since you were a young man. He may be old, but this Templar has lost none of his fighting ability. You feel an imminent threat of death, absolutely, but not. You live to breathe at least 5 seconds longer, and it's your turn.
I can't disengage without getting an attack of opportunity, so I can't get him into a situation where I'm activating the long trait. Correct. So it's just going to have to be knife fight in the phone box territory here.
Sure.
And -1, so we are actually on 14 or lower. 9, that'll do.
Is that including your elderly thing?
Yes. Yeah. 15, 14, 13.
Cool. So you hit, and what's the damage?
That's 4.
That's 4. In that case, you feel the head of your spear tangle in the mail as you thrust forward, like the mail around his armpit, and you withdraw. You're fairly sure you didn't penetrate his armor. So on to Anton. If you want to engage him in combat in any way, Anton, you do not have to move. This is happening right next to you. So you feel free to do a cast and attack if you want, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, I want to cast Blessed Shield.
Mm-hmm. And extend it to Steo, presumably.
Yeah, we will.
So that's your new thing, right?
That's my new thing.
I recall someone was my second favorite person to be on a boat with about a year ago. So
it's got to be someone within sight, and I'm probably only looking in the vicinity of Steel and this chap right now. So yeah, but I actually rolled a 15, so I don't make it, and I am weighing up whether to roll an XP for that actually. And
have you got any XP?
I do, yeah. I had some left over after I bought level 2 of Blessed Shield. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that actually. So
all the XP burnt tonight, folks.
13 or lower, 6. That was worth it.
Okay. You feel the warmth of Prios flowing over you, and maybe you do as well, Steel. And for a moment, that actually might fill you with terror, as this is clearly a Templar wielding the what would we call it? The mystical graces of Prios. But no, kind of there is a glow and a sparkle around you that matches those that Anton draws over himself from time to time. So yeah, this provides a D4. Is it a D4?
It's actually a D6 now. Yeah,
a D6 extra armor to both of you. So that's good and welcome. And then are we flailing the back of this guy, Anton? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. So would that count as a flank as well?
You know what? I'm actually going to say this guy's really was well aware that you are both probably foes. So I'm going to say, you know what? Let's roll off for it. Let's roll. Why don't you roll me quick at a -1, please, Anton?
Oh, crikey.
And we're just making up the flanking rules here, folks. If you think this doesn't match what's in the book, it doesn't. It's largely kind of situational. It's just how we do it here.
Well, I don't make it. My quick is 7.
So you're not flanking him, but you can go ahead and make an attack at -1.
And I make it.
Excellent. And what is your damage roll? So you got a higher damage roll now, right?
Yeah, it's a D10 for my flail. So that is 4.
4. In that case, you feel the kind and hear a very rough thwack as the kind of head of your flail batters against his side. He barely seems to register it. You certainly don't think you've done any damage to him, but you definitely got at least enough of his attention now that he knows you're fighting him. So yeah. And there's no extra rules with your flail. Like your flail is just if you miss, right, then you get a chance to hit again or something like that. Yeah. Okay, let's roll back round to the beginning. Ascarai. Time for you to finish off the fight, I guess. Especially, hey, remember, Ascarai now ignores armor.
Hooray!
With his arrows, so you know.
I am gonna try and shoot him in the back, with my bow, and he's at a -1 for his modifier, right?
He is, yes.
So I need a 14 or less. I rolled an 11. So I make it.
What's the damage on that?
It's a D10 plus 1. I rolled an 8 plus 1 is 9.
That is over his pain threshold.
Well,
it's so broken. It's so broken.
It is a good ability. I'm gonna shoot him again, I think. So I need a 14. I rolled a 12, so I make it. And the damage is 2 plus 1 is 3.
Okay. As Alamai kind of rounds on you, Anton, and presumably you kind of, do you think it's fair that Anton would kind of take a step back at this point? He kind of rounds on you and hefts that sun axe up, opens his mouth to roar another of his kind of battle cries, and at that moment an arrow sprouts itself from the side of his neck. He reels to one side and sort of looks up and just slowly raises the axe again, and another arrow buries itself under his armpit through his mail, and with a wheezing, bubbling cry, he kind of drops down to one knee, kind of the sun axe falling from his suddenly nerveless fingers, I should say. And with one hand, he like kind of reaches and claws up towards his throat and says, the dark is creeping up my throat. He topples forward, crashes onto the ground in front of his Croft. He seems to be dead. The farmhands immediately toss their bows away and just literally kind of like leap over the nearby fence and just start running as fast as their legs can take them.
Okay, I think we're in danger. Let's get out of here.
I'm going to move over to these plaques.
Yeah. I'm going to continue barreling towards the farmhouse. And if Aaron's behind me, I will shout back for him to bolt the door behind him as we come in.
Absolutely, and that can happen. You can all be there, within 20 seconds or so. It's all fine. Askarai, so you are looking at my friend. As I said, a number of, and let me try and find more details on them. No more details there. Okay. Basically, as I said, a number of kind of copper tablets or plaques that are kind of laid onto the table, and they're laid kind of next to each other as if in an order. Okay. And the central one is covered in Symbaric script. The one to the left and the one to the right seem to have kind of odd abstract designs on them that you kind of can't make head nor tail of. And they also look to be a bit damaged and burnished. But the central one is fairly well preserved, it seems. I don't think you can read Symbaric script, because I think the only person who has any chance of doing that is Anton, because he's the only one with Lawmaster. But yeah, they look old. They look kind of weathered, especially the two on either side. And thoroughly not valuable. They're just copper tablets.
Okay. Are they about the right size for the... I guess, have I seen the crate? I have seen the crate. Are they about...
absolutely 100% look like the crate would be a good size thing to store them in.
Okay. Seeing it Symbaric, I would call over to Anton and say...
They're kind of torso-sized each.
Oh, big.
And if you stack them one on the other, then the crate would be a reasonable thing to carry them in.
Gentlemen,
they look quite heavy.
I appreciate the endeavor, but we need to get out of here immediately. Bundle them up in the sheet. We make out the back door. We keep going. We'll backtrack later.
Yeah. I actually will call Steo over as well. Steo, let me take a look at that.
Later. We need to go now.
Do we really want to be carrying these? We don't know. We have no idea what they are. Should we not look at them? You're the one who's been saying the whole day about how dangerous Symbaric artifacts can be.
100%. I completely agree. Do you know what else is dangerous? The friends of the man who nearly just killed me with an axe. So let's do this when we're out of this building. Come, please, quickly. I'll get the sheets and start wrapping up the things, the artifacts.
Now, I am not one to be picky. I am, but I believe the sheet is wrapped around the crate.
Oh, of course, because I was kind of.
However, Alamai had bed sheets, so you can easily get those, should you wish.
We will do that.
Okay, so we're doing that. We're grabbing those. We're exiting the croft and just getting as far away from here in the opposite direction of the direction the brothers might be coming before the brothers get here again.
Yeah, I think so.
Does that about sum it up? Has anyone got anything to add to that?
Yeah,
I guess
what is the I was going to say, what does the landscape look like, sort of perpendicular from the road? Like, what if we came out the east gate? What if we went? Well, north doesn't sound great. What's south from here?
The road.
No, I mean, what's south of the road?
Oh, like farmland, meadows, things like that. Like the most easily concealable place is to run to the forest edge and run along the forest edge towards Thistlehold. But like the very edge of the forest is not horribly dangerous.
Okay.
Especially not to a group of 5 seasoned warriors.
Before we left, I would drag the body inside and close the front door.
I will point to the forest as a way for us to get away from here relatively unseen.
Sure.
See what the response is from people.
It's that, or it's too far to go to the inn, isn't it?
Oh, Jackad's Heart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's literally it's the other side of Thistlehold.
That's west, yeah.
It's the west of Thistlehold, and also, it's about like a day's travel. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll. I think like once we've put a good kind of maybe kilometer between us and the house, I'll try and I'll maybe slow the pace down and go, look, can we find somewhere to just secrete ourselves and take a look at these things?
Well, you've been kind of traveling along the edge of the forest, and obviously it's relatively safe from where you are, although there's still a sense of foreboding as soon as you step under those eaves and travel along, and the occasional odd animal noise coming from deeper under the boughs. But yeah, after you've kind of like run or jogged a good kilometer back towards Thistlehold, and the town is in sight from where you are, you're just kind of on the edge of the forest looking over at it from the north. Yeah, there's plenty of places where you could just retreat a little bit further into the forest and find a small grove that you could take a look at these things before you return them within the walls of Thistlehold. Sure. Is that what we want to do?
Take a few minutes and do that. Come on, Anton. Let's see if you can make sense of this.
Decamado didn't forbid us from doing this, did he?
No, not explicitly.
Implicitly, very much so.
Okay, let's have a look at them, see what they say.
Okay, can you give me? It's not difficult, and you've read Symbaroum script. You've successfully read Symbaroum script a number of times before, right?
Yeah, I think
the Tomb of Dying Dreams.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's a cunning roll, and it's going. We'll put a +3 on it.
I'm one short.
You cannot make. You can't make hide nor hair of it, but who here has contacts? Okay. Keep your hand raised if you have contacts either within Thistlehold or the church.
As in, specifically Thistlehold, or people who would be in Thistlehold?
What's your contacts?
Noble families, noble houses. No.
Okay. Steer, is yours like the guard or something?
It's literally just contacts Thistlehold.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. In that case, any of the three of you still have your hands raised can just roll cunning.
That's a fail.
Jesus.
Fail.
So much for my cliffhanger. So, no one has any idea what these are.
Let's get them into their box and to their rightful owner.
The Templars are going to know it was us. At least they'll know it was me.
John's made a good point in the backstage chat, and I think I might spend an XP to have a go at a reroll. I only have one to spend, and I didn't get in a fight with a Templar, so,
Go ahead.
Okay. My cunning is 10, by the way, so this is like a 50-50.
50-50, nice.
I need a 10. I roll a 14. This whole spending XP thing is just a scam.
Look, I really want that. Oh, now I can't do it twice. It's rude to do it twice in one session.
No, that's absolutely fine. You're burning XP, mate. You do it as much as you want.
Okay,
you can't do it multiple times on the same roll. That's the only rule.
Just for you, I will burn one more XP, putting me yet further away from my nice top-tier armor skill. I will try that again.
Can we interest you in a darkness point, Matt?
Well, that's a callback.
We are crossing the streams tonight. I didn't even mean that pun to work so well. I was just making a reference. I don't know what your cunning is.
Well, it's good enough for that to be a celebrated roll. That's an 8.
Wonderful. Something occurs to you, Steo, and this was talked about maybe as long as a year ago, but it's still talked about a fair bit now, but the hubbub has died down a bit. According to rumours circling Thistlehold and further abroad, the Sun Church recovered something from an old temple ruin a couple of days walk east of Carvosti. First Father Jessibagai firmly denies all knowledge of such a find, but that has hardly stopped the rumour mill from grinding. Quite the opposite. In a short time, numerous versions of the prophecy have appeared, all reflecting the same basic theme. Ambria is supposed to gain lordship over all land once ruled by ancient Symbaroum, and Queen Corinthia will ascend to the throne of the Empire's last emperors. It's been something that obviously a lot of people have been talking about, kind of like in terms of how it could be used politically or any number of things. And these rumors have traveled like wildfire, and gossip has started. The one thing other than that you know about this prophecy, Steo, is it was found etched on 3 bronze tablets. So I think we'll wrap up the session there for the evening. Thank you, everyone, for playing. Thank you for absolutely spunking your XP up the wall on many rolls this evening, in especially that one to satisfy my own need for cliffhanging. Yeah, there we go. If you've got any comments or questions, folks, please sling them into chat and we will address them for you. In the meantime, promo, links down below to Twitch, to YouTube. If you've watched on one, please check us out on the other. Our YouTube has just hours and hours and hours and hours of content now. We also have links to our social media, our Discord, our Patreon. If you are interested, we run 3 weekly shows here on Twitch. Monday nights is Shadows of Estrin. They are returning from a little bit of a slightly variable schedule this Monday on Valentine's Day. So show them your love this Monday for our Monday crew. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, and Thursdays is currently Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series. We're wrapping up Mage the Ascension tomorrow, or we should be, and then we're taking a quick break and hopping over to Wraith the Oblivion. We're also on tenterhooks, as clearly our Cincinnati Chronicles has been a massive inspiration to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are going to the Super Bowl this Sunday for the first time since 1988. Oh dear. Oh dear, what will become of me? So we also run one-shots on the first weekend of every month, or usually we do. It was put off this last weekend because I got ill. And let me tell you, the fact that we've ended a bit early is somewhat influenced by the fact that I am still ill, folks. But I made the effort here for you tonight because I love you so much. But that should be rescheduled to this Saturday, which is the 12th of February, where I'll be running Tales from the Loop with John and Steve and Inga. That's everyone, right? Yeah. So please join us for that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon GMT. That's all my promo, right? That's everything. Something, hazelnut yogurt, something. Yeah. Get those comments up, please, John. Oh, and we've had some follow action over the last couple of days. Time Doorway and Denty T, thank you so much for your follows. And Night Bites, thank you for your resubscribe. It's very much appreciated. John. Steve, welcome to Twitch's only dedicated TTRPG and yogurt discussion channel. We've gone that way.
At least we've got inspiration for a new emote.
I know it's the current Twitch meta, and it is a cliche, but we are that. We are TTRPGs and yogurts. Until Twitch bans it for being too lewd.
I think this hazelnut yogurt content that we've done is the best this stream has ever been. So
definitely, in that the best thing about every stream is them going off piste.
I mean, I think we've hit our niche.
We do not. We're not being paid by Big Yogurt. I should make that clear.
Hey, Big Yogurt, get in touch.
It's Sainsbury's in this.
Our price is in the gutter. Like seriously, Matt will do it for like a 6-pack of hazelnut yogurt a week.
I will sponsor hazelnut yogurt for lifetime. Hazelnut yogurt. Yeah, and we should say this because if Mike's going to conduct a true test, he needs to get specifically this yogurt, I suppose. So just be aware.
Just so you know, it's not in all stores. Just because I've done a survey of the local stores.
Yeah, certainly not given the current logistics issues.
It's not sold in packs either. No. So
single pots.
Right. Single pots. A comment from Mike. Chris was physically hurt by that. Yog hurt.
It's good. Someone got a pun in after my.
I think Yog hurt
struck from the record
cast, so I'm not sure if we can.
Yeah, now we've got a copyright lawsuit coming. Trademark.
Now I've got to fight Lewis Brindley.
Honestly,
I rate my chances, honestly, but like,
I would pay good money to see that. See you fight Lewis Brindley in a vat of hazelnut yogurt.
That went OnlyFans awfully quickly. Let's move on to the next.
I would like to say, before any of this goes out of control, we do not have beef with Yogscast. There's no vendetta. There's no.
I indeed enjoy some of Yogscast.
Some.
You have to say some of Yogscast because they haven't had the best couple of years.
I think we might accidentally be starting beef as we speak.
It can only elevate us. 42. Is there a historical precedent for this Queen's Legate? I can't imagine of a government office where they keep records of all keys and locks and their addresses. So it's an interesting question. For a start, I would separate out the archive of that information from the Queen's Legate itself. There were legates and legations, and they're generally like you'd have a representative of whoever the legate was from, whether it's a government or a foreign government or a lord or whatever, in specific towns to do their business and carry out their trading and stuff like that. And it's just kind of a coincidence that the Queen's Legate has access to this archive, essentially. But as far as archives of records of keys and locks and addresses, in certain, it's likely, for example, in this Thistlehold one, that it doesn't have all the information in the city, but it has information on a number of publicly owned or noble owned things and places. And yes, that is historical. Personal privacy and kind of economic privacy didn't mean an awful lot in the face of supreme executive power. And while it's not like a constant historically, there certainly were cases of, the authorities would have direct access to a lot of places in the city. So
are we
bit of both?
Are we also looking up specifically the property that matches the key, or are we looking at the property that matches the name?
That's actually interesting. And I believe it is the name. Which is far more likely. If someone's leased property within the city and the entirety of the city is technically the property of Mayor Nightpitch, and the land is technically the property of Queen Corinthia, then yes, it's access to the legal records, absolutely. Steve says, right in the mail balls. That's a callback for you. John, we're going to get blacklisted by the Messengers Union. We are if the priest keeps accosting messengers.
I think you'll find that I was accosted by the messenger.
Steve, I do have to dash off waddles down the street. Great. Great classic Antom action. Steve, I know we've talked about suddenly changing the game system midstream to Wanderhome. I think we've switched to Fiasco. Yeah, I did have that. There were some crazy heist capers going on at various points in this, but worked out all right in the end, apart from Steo's horrible wound.
I think as a player party, the stuff that we're good at, but I don't think heists is our thing, really.
Murdering a potentially innocent old man. So that's everything, I think, folks. So thank you very much for watching again. Thank you for to my players for participating, and we will see you next week for more Symbaroum, and hopefully if I find it within me to recover a bit from the effort of streaming once, I will see you twice against this week, once tomorrow evening for Cincinnati Chronicles and once for Tales from the Loop on Saturday. So there we go. Take care. Stay safe, folks. See you soon.